Welcome to the Narrowboat that James built. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. It's nice and sunny at the moment, which has reminded me to sort out my solar panels. They're not fixed to the top of the roof, so I need to sort that. But before I do that, I've got to turn around and go back into Berkhamsted. Both boats are facing southerly, and there's a winding hole just beyond that lock there. So Sweary Dan is on his way down. He's going to help me through these locks for the day. But yeah, first off, got to turn the boats about. Slow patrol, I'm hoping I can turn around where she is, but Project 58 I'll take through the winding hole. I can't really take them both to the winding hole because there's a Y beam moored up on the bloody winding hole, so that's not going to help matters. So one boat will make life easier. Apart from the trains, the other reason I'm kind of done with this spot now is because it seems to be the home of the International Dog Shitting Championships.
Hey, look at that!
I think we're going to make it.
I reckon we are.
Oh shit, it's well slippery. Bloody hell, shallow up here, pal. Right, I've left slow patrol down there, facing northerly. And Dan's just going down to top lock, just to open the gates, and then he's going to help me wind where the Y-beam's moored up. So there's the Y-beam that I'm going to try to avoid, but Dan's going to be a fender just in case. I'm going to try to tuck my nose in just ahead of this willow there. I think it may have just worked. With a little help from Sweary Dan. Result. Okay, lock gates are still open. My solar panels are proving a little bit of a tricky position to get to these lock gates. Not ideal. But the weather is certainly on our side, and apparently it's going to be like this all week, so happy days. Marlon's closing the lock gates behind us, and Sweary Dan and me are going to go pick up slow patrol. Thank you, mate. Right, tethered up. I struggled on the last pound getting into the lock because the levels are quite low, and they're pretty low in this pound as well. They're about 1.5 foot down. So Marlon and I are just going up to this lock to let some more water through so I can get both boats up through here. I'm going to struggle with that, to be honest. I'm just holding my position here whilst it looks like there's a whole garden coming down through this lock. I've left the gates behind me open so she can go straight in. These gates though are tricky because one doesn't open fully, so obviously I haven't got any fenders up, but just got to squeeze my way through this. Go on, Marlon, give it the beans. Alright, there's Marlon and Lazy Days. Right, we're taking this spot here between Serafina and Marlon on Lazy Days. Right, now we're moored up here in Berkhamsted. I need to get my roof sorted out and work out the positioning for my solar panels. Right, before I work out the positioning for the solar panels, I also need to work out whether these solar panels are going to be sufficient for my needs. These 4 panels I inherited with the boat, so I've got some maths to do. Right, so first up, I've got 4 panels. And on the data sheet, or the sticker on the back of the panel, tells me all the information about the performance of the panel that I need. The panels are 285 watts at 31 volts and 9 amps. Right, now you've got your solar panels and you've got the information, the data about them. You can work out what is the best way to go about connecting these up, whether it is in series, which is daisy chaining these 4 panels together, or in parallel, which is taking all the positive feeds and all the negative feeds together. The main differences are, if you do it in series, then the volts go up and the amps stay the same. If you run it in parallel, then the opposite happens. The volts stay the same and the amps go up. In solar panels, regarding shading and other factors of solar panel performance, I'm going to be opting for a parallel connection. So the idea is the volts will stay the same and the amps go up. So I've got 4 panels at 9 amps is 36 amps at 31 volts, which is 1116 watts. And 4 times 285 is, 285 times 4 is 1140 watts. So it's pretty much the same. So I know that in decent weather, my solar array is going to be achieving 1140 watts. Now I need to determine what size of charger controller I'm going to require. And the way you do that is my solar array is going to making 1140 watts at 31 volts. MPPTs work on amps. So, and they're 12 volts. So I take 1140 and divide that by 12 volts, and that'll give me the amps, which is 95 amp. So I've got to make sure that my MPPT can handle at least 95 amps. So a Victron MPPT of 100 amp will be fine. Right, now I know what my solar array can achieve. I now need to find out how long it's going to take to charge my batteries. So for that, it's quite straightforward. I know that I am generating 1140 watts, but there is an efficiency loss. So take off 30%. So solar panels kind of roughly working on about 70%. So therefore, if I take 70% off of that, I am left with around 800 watts. My battery bank is 5,000 watt hours. So 5,000 watt hours divided by 800 watts equals 6.25 hours of sunlight to charge my batteries. On a narrowboat, especially in England, you're never going to really be able to say you've got enough solar to charge your batteries as quickly as you'd want them to be, but I'm pretty confident this array is going to be fine. The ones on slow patrol, I've never had a problem with. I've only got 2 panels there. Obviously the battery bank is going to be slightly different to on this one, but I've never had a problem with it. They've charged the batteries before midday kind of for a couple of years, so that's fine. Now I can work out the final position for these panels. Right, so solar panel positioning, obviously they can't go that way round, annoyingly, because of tunnels and bridges and stuff, so they'll be mounted that way round. The limitations I've got are these supports here for the barge pole and for the gangplank, although I guess the solar panel can be above them, so on brackets going up. Same for the mushroom vents. Basically, the solar panel will be above that, so that's all right. The centre line is probably the main thing, which is underneath this solar panel here, because that's got to be completely unrestricted, unlike the one on Slow Patrol, which the centre line is there and the solar panel's there. Obviously I haven't got a busting amount of room to play with on that boat, but you'll see on that boat both solar panels are mounted at the back, and on this boat I'm going to want them mounted, really I want to max out on solar panels, so I want them mounted kind of as forwards as I can, and maybe have one at the back if I need to, because I've got 4 to play with. Ideally I'd like different ones. I'd like half width ones which go on these sides here, but because of that and because I've already got these, I'm going to carry on with these and may upgrade them maybe next year or something like that, but I think I'm just going to carry on with these for the time being. Right, using this central plan here, I'm going to map out all the furniture on the roof. Right, I've mapped out all the roof furniture, so I've got those mounts there for the barge pole and the gangplank. Got mushroom vents, that's where the centre line is. A couple more mushroom vents, and then that's the area there for the aft hatch to go backwards. So really, my solar panels are just over 5 foot long. So really, I can go above the mushroom vents. That's fine. I'm gonna have to go above that, but really, I'm kind of talking having them there, get 3 of them in there, and then maybe one of them around here, giving enough room around the centre line. So let's see if I can get that in. Right, so that's the forward bulkhead. So I've got a 2 foot gap there for tunnel light and for people to sit on. And I've got 3 solar panels here, so they're kind of just over 5 foot in length each, which gives me a 5 foot gap to the centre line, and then another 5 foot gap to that last panel there. I can't really get it up to there. If I had it straight on that line there, I don't really squeeze them in, to be honest. I have measured it all, because obviously there's a bit of a gap between these because of the brackets that are needed. And then I'll put the scan strut cable entry seal thing there underneath that panel there. So I've just got one set of cables running down there. That's the bit I need to put in. So got those little grommets in there, so I don't know, a couple of 6mm holes to take the cables through, and they will come through kind of just around here-ish, or in the middle there, make their way down to the electrics cupboard there, where they'll meet the MPPT, and then from there the MPPT will go down and feed the batteries, which will be underneath there. Centre lines here. It's right on the front here, but I can fit 4 in ahead of centre line. Okay, so I can squeeze in 4 panels in front of the centre line, but there's no room at the front, and these are all kind of butted up to each other. I think they're going to have to be on brackets. I could maybe put 2 together, bolt 2 together and hinge them on one bracket as a pair. I'm not sure, I don't know if anyone's done that, but there isn't busting amount of room to play with. And then the centre line is so easily getting snagged underneath there in a lock and getting caught underneath the solar panel, which is not good. So that's the other solution, is to have one 5-foot gap there, 5-foot gap there, and move all these up a little bit. Right, I think I'm going to opt for this approach, which is 3 panels with a bit of a gap between them, but also a nice kind of gap at the front there for sitting on and to have the tunnel light and stuff. And then centre line is kind of a 4-foot gap there ish, kind of 3 and a bit, and then another 3 and a bit gap, and then another solar panel, which gives me enough kind of roof space there to jump down in a lock and access the cockpit and stuff. So I quite like that. Also gives me another area of roof to put on a flexible panel like that one there, so that's good. The only thing I'm questioning, and I know it's going to look ridiculous, but it's basically having them mounted a little bit like that. So I've got, you know, an area to walk down, although it's not particularly, it's not nice to walk down anyway. But I could have them kind of hanging over a little bit more. I know that would look a bit daft, but it would also kind of free up a bit of space. So if you could let me know in the comments as to what you think of that. I think I'll probably put them central just because of, you know, it will look proper. But if anyone's done that, Okay, one thing I'm thinking on these solar panels is that if I made a long cut and a slit in there, so when it's mounted in the centre of the roof on that bit there, on that furthermost part, then they're all like that, and then you untwiddle it, slide it across to there. So then I'd only do that when I'm navigating, or like if the sun's in a weird place and being obscured by a hedge or something. But then it does mean that I can have a little walkway all the way down there. I mean, it would look a bit strange, but at least then I can move it back and forth. So I'm reckoning that might be a potential solution. I'm not going to fasten any of them together because I think I'll do them all independently now, because there's a bit of a gap between, and also I need to make sure that the fixings going through here are not going into the bulkheads, and this is all kind of where all the bulkheads are going to be inside the boat. Right, the next thing to work out is solar cable and the cable runs. Basically, because of voltage drop, you want to be keeping the cable runs as short as possible. Can't really avoid it on the roof with the solar panel positioning. So I've got right from the front all the way to the back where the MPPT charger controller is going to be. But from there to the batteries, that's quite a short cable run. So that's the important one as well. This is the cable I'm using, which is 6mm solar cable. It's got like a double sheathing around it, so it's kind of a bit more armoured, I guess. This is rated at 70 amps. I've got 4 panels at 9 amps. I've got 36 amps coming through because they're in parallel. And so obviously this is going to be sufficient for that. So I'll be using this to put the cables through, but I'll be doing that next week when I get my solar panel brackets, and I've gone for the A-frame ones. So I reckon if I cut that slit in the solar panels, I can slide them over, tighten them up again. That'd be good. And that'll just give me a kind of ease of passage down the boat, because the gunnels on this are really narrow, unlike Slow Patrol, and I'm used to using Slow Patrol's gunnels, and they're kind of like 6 inches, whereas these ones are about 3.5 to 4. So if I can walk up and down the roof, just makes it slightly easier. So that would be my plan. Get the brackets next week, get the panels on the roof before the wind picks up and they end up in the cut. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.